Hey y'all, it's Michelle from the Scattered Scrapper. Welcome to my channel. Today is day 15 of Scrap-O-Ween and day 15 of 30 Days of Sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life. And the sketch I'm using today is this one here by Lynn Furlonger. And I think I'm going to be using this side of the sketch. It is a double page sketch, but I don't do a whole lot of double page sketches or layouts, so I think I'm gonna go with this side. It calls for 3 photos, some tags, a lot of paper layering, which I love, and but I am going to be using this one picture today. This is a picture of my family at a lookout at sunset. So I've got all my supplies picked out that I want to use. So let's get started. What I'm going to do for my background is use this piece of basil cardstock in this reddish color. And I love how the Pink Fresh Studio paper with the leaves on it, this one here, looks next to this red. I just think it is so pretty. And here you're going to actually see me kind of fuss around with my trimmer and the paper ends because I am horrible at eyeballing measurements. If I don't have a specific measurement that's given to me that, you know, like cut this at 10 inches, then I am really, really bad about figuring out what size I need. And this particular sketch has a lot of paper layers, which I love the look of. I think it's so pretty. So, but it doesn't have measurements. So I'm going to be struggling because I don't know why I can't figure out the whole measurement thing, but I just can't. So like here I have a paper pulled from the 6x6 paper pad, the Echo Park Coffee collection, I think is what that one was from. And I have a 6x4 photo. So I'm having to figure out if I can cover that little hole that's in where a branding strip would be on a 6x6 pad. And thankfully I'm able to cover that up. So that ends up being great. And I love this dusty, deep pink color behind my photo. And I've got several different papers here that I've picked out. This one and the bluish green one is from an American Crafts paper pad called Wildflower. And I just think the colors go beautifully with this Pink Fresh collection that I had picked out. But here you can see I'm hemming and hawing about what size I want to cut my papers and also what part of the paper I want to use, because the pinky purple one and the blue greeny one are both kind of like ombre, and I was trying to decide if I wanted to keep the really, really light part or if I wanted more of the darker part. And I had cut this pink one to be my top layer, but of course I've backed my photo in pink, so it just disappears. And I was like, well, that's not going to work. So I'm thinking about pulling in the other side, and I'm like, I don't want that like that. So I kind of go off from the sketch a little bit, and I turn that yellow paper on its side instead of having it short side up. And then I also decide things are looking kind of plain, so I'm going to go ahead and lightly rough up the edges of my 3 blocks here. And I'm just using my scissors. I don't have one of those fancy little tools that they have that kind of distresses the edges. maybe one day, but for now, my scissors to do the trick. And I decided to have the papers with the light part at the bottom and the darker part at the top in order to mimic the sunset. Because with the sun setting, of course, it's lighter nearer the sun or the horizon and gets darker the farther up you look away from the sun. And that was kind of my reasoning for doing that. Usually I would put the darker at the bottom because that feels heavier. But I wanted to kind of just mimic a little bit of what you see in the sunset in my photo. So now that I have all of my papers where I want them and I've got them glued down, I can move on to some other things. And I've brought in this cork October, and I'm trying to figure out where do I want to put it. And I am so excited to get this October used. It has been in my stash for quite a few years, at least 2. In the grand scheme of things, that's probably not really that long. Maybe 3 years. But still, I have seen it several times and tried to use it several times, and it just wasn't working out. So now that it is on a layout, I am very excited. So I have just titled this really simply October Sunset. And there on the right hand side, I have got a pile of flowers. And I actually cut out all of those flowers from a piece of paper from that wildflower paper pad. Because I don't have any embellishments or anything like that goes with that paper pad. But it did have that sheet of all the flowers, and I just think they're gorgeous, and these colors just look beautiful with this Pink Fresh collection. So I'm just going to go through and see which ones I want to use, and I really like this big one there in the left bottom corner, so that's going to stay there. And then I have a couple of like little, it's not little word stickers because they're die cuts, but I thought about using that purple one up there in the top left corner, but I was like, I don't really like that there. So I pushed that off, and the one that is down in the bottom right corner, that dark teal one that says breathe deeply, that's going to stay there. It's going to get some companions though. So I've got another bit of floral up there with my title. So what I'm doing is a classic 3 clusters, and so I needed to get a base for this one down here, and I went through the die cuts and found this wreath here that is, like I say, the colors between that coffee, that Echo Park collection coffee, and this Pink Fresh Studio collection, and that wildflower. Actually, you know what? That yellow paper is, I think that might be from Hello Again. I think it is. So I've got like, let me think. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 different collections here on this page. But now I'm just going through the cardstock stickers to see if there's anything else I want to use. And I do know that because I have words in my title, so kind of like in my small cluster up there at the top, and I have the word, the breathe deeply, down there in the bottom right, I also want something to go with my really big floral there on the bottom left. But first, I did put a puffy sticker moth there in the bottom right, and I'm like, okay, we're outside, it's time to use the moths, because I'm not a huge moth fan, I'm not a huge butterfly fan, and I have a hard time using them. So I'm like, this is perfect, they're the perfect colors, let's get them on here and get them out of my stash. So on the layout they go, and they work. I mean, we are outside, and they live outside, so it's it works for me. So here I'm trying to decide where to put this word sticker, and I thought it needed a little more, this big floral, but it really doesn't. The flower is the statement piece here. So I just go ahead and tuck that little word sticker that says the little things up underneath the butterfly or the moth. And then I don't know what happened to my footage, because I put some yellow enamel dots in each of my clusters. And unfortunately that footage is gone, but there they are. And then I was like, this is still not looking as good as it could. So I went ahead and put a doodly border around that blue paper, and that really helps it to stand out. And then, of course, I'm going to put the splatters on the layout. That has to be, right now, just my most favorite thing in the world to do to finish out a layout, is to put the splatters on. And let's see here. That is gonna do it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you are enjoying your October. Be sure to click the link down below to see how everyone else who's playing along with 30 Days of Sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life does with this sketch, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.